Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to Homebrew Happy Hour, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. You can email Joshua at Homebrew Happy Hour because it goes to the same gosh darn place. Even better, you could text this hotline. But no, that's not what's even better. What's even better is calling it and leaving a voicemail to 325-305-6107. Leave a message after the beep. You'll love it or you'll hate it. There's two options, but you're going to love it. You're going to love hearing your voice on a future episode. I can promise you that. No, I can't. That's a lie. Let me rewind. Can't promise anything, but it's a good time for everybody else involved. Does not get much better than that, except it does because she has returned. My co-host, the great Queen Bee of brewersfriend.com. It is Miss Lorena Evans. I don't even have to have anything written down. In the early days, Lorena, I had stuff written down for you and I'd have to read it. I am now so confident in you as the co-host that I just flying. I'm shooting from the hips. I don't even have to memorize anything. You are the Queen Bee. I think at one point you thought I was saying the Queen Bee word and I had to tell you, no, that's not what I was saying. That's not what I said at all. No, bee like bzzz.
Yeah, that's so much better, Josh.
That's so much better. And who doesn't like bees? Like honeybees. Like everyone loves honeybees. Not talking about like the kind that attack you or like the wasp.
The one when I got 14 stings like 2 weeks ago.
Were those those weren't honeybees though.
No,
those were wasps.
They were, there's a meme on the internet that has like honeybees, gentle, bumblebees, yellow jackets. They're just assholes.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they are.
Yes. My dog got into them first, and I still have some hives.
No way.
Yeah. That
was 2 or 3
quite
weeks
the immune
ago.
reaction to that. Yeah, but
Whoa.
it was a lot of venom, But anyway.
What?
So I'll be the queen bee, but I don't want to be the hornet or the wasp.
No, not at all. And last week, for people who were watching and wondering where she was, I actually, if you missed the episode, I interviewed Matt Meadows, the director of field quality over at New Belgium, and had a lovely chat with him. Have not seen him in person in almost 11 years. We did an episode with him there at the New Belgium campus. It was incredible. He is a fantastic and exceptional, some might say, tour guide. The history of the brewery, I was properly kerschnockered after that trip because we were with him.
Kerschnockered?
Yeah, is that not a word? I
don't think so.
If you say plastered, you sound like a drunkard. All right, so I was trying to use old pappy language. I was kerschnockered over at the New Belgium brewery. He was such a good host, and he multiple times on air before we recorded and then after we recorded too. Dude, you got to come back to Fort Collins. And I was like, can you start a GoFundMe and get me now? No, actually, tickets aren't that bad. I need to find a reason. I've been thinking, I just got my media credentials if I wanted to cover Great American Beer Festival.
Ooh.
And it would be a fun trip. The one year I covered it, James and I went, and some of the content we produced was like trying to find our favorite alt beer of the whole floor. I don't know the last GABF you've been to, if you've been to any of them. I don't know if you've ever been to. No desire to, or just didn't have.
I have the desire, but not the funds.
Denver's not a cheap place, man. It's not cheap to get in. But at that time, I was spending Todd's money, so I was like, who cares? But we, surprisingly, or maybe not surprising, there was only 7 or 8 breweries of the entire festival that had an alt beer on tap. Huh. It was less than 10. And I just remember being like, I know domestically finding a commercial alt is almost impossible for 99% of Americans. Like you don't have a local craft brewery typically with alt beer on tap. Right. There are some commercial standouts like Copper. I have to remember from the old Mecklenburg brewery, Copper, their alt beer. When we went to, well, James and I tried this in the airport in North Carolina. And then when I talked about them on a few episode later, someone sent me a bunch of the coasters and stuff. So I was like, you should have sent me the beer, bro. But they sent me coasters. That's a consolation prize. Anyway, though, so I'm considering like maybe I'll go to GABF, but flights and all that, I'm probably not going to make it. But if I do, maybe a road trip, visiting the tri-state area again, like Boulder, go visit the BA, maybe do some content there. Fort Collins, New Belgium, do some content there, and then obviously Denver for the GABF. But I don't know. I'm not putting anything down on paper, guys. Don't hold me to it. But if you live in that area and you have a place for me to shack up, hey, let's talk. When it's just me, I don't even do background checks on people offering me couches. Like, if I was going to take my pop or my wife or whomever, I'd be like, oh, I got to get a hotel. This sucks, whatever. When it's me, throw me on a couch. Throw me in a doghouse. I don't care. As long as I'm not covering lodging. I am that cheap, Lorena, and easy.
Oh, I know. I know.
That's the title of my memoir, Cheap and Easy. The Joshua Stubing story.
I didn't realize you were easy.
Oh, so ask my wife. I am so easy. So easy. Oh my gosh. But one other good thing that came out of the interview with Matt was he is also does work as a director of field quality for Bell's. And that's going to be my segue. My friends, for the month of August, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier and get a clone of the incredible Bell's Two-Hearted Ale. Lorena, that's the fanfare. This is actually an extremely highly requested recipe over, I don't know, we've been doing Trub Klub recipe kits since October of 2019. I've never done a Bell's Two-Hearted, and Bell's is a multi-time gold-winning national, World Beer Cup. I think they've medaled at GABF. I mean, I'm pretty confident that they've won all the top kind of medals you can. And so when Matt Meadows had dropped, like, oh yeah, do that for Bell's, I was like, you're never going to believe this, Matt, but I need you to hook me up with someone from the brewery to do an interview. So I'm working on that. But in the meantime, before the interview comes out, which will probably be towards the end of the month, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join the recipe receiving tier, or just buy it outright. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. I don't care. But when you do buy the recipes, you are supporting my efforts in doing this show. And I sincerely appreciate you. Which also means my pop and I will be brewing the Bell's Two-Hearted Ale at the end of the month, the last Friday, which I have to pull up a calendar because I'm so bad at this. That's like the 29th? What is it this month?
Yes.
The 28th.
The 28th.
Friday.
The 28th is a Friday.
Friday the 28th, tentatively, because I have not talked to my father. But if he says no, then it's just me, Dad. All right? I'll replace you. Lorena will virtual in. She'll replace you too. She's replacing everybody.
I'm not available that day either. I'll be on a plane.
Lorena, come on. No.
Saturdays are better for me. What can I say?
Oh, you sound like Todd. And like a couple of years ago, he was like, you really should change it to Saturdays. I think it'd be better. I was like, but that Saturdays is when I wrestle my homies. Like what? Like I can't be brewing.
So you want to like just be with sweaty men rolling around instead of talking to us?
Lorena, a man's got to choose. Sometimes a man has to let the passions of his heart lead the way. That sounded
that's a whole different podcast. We better get back to
that's my second memoir, The Passions of My Heart. And it'll be me talking about loving jujitsu. You've Got Mail being the best rom-com of all time. The joys of Disney World as a middle-aged balding man going by yourself. We could do
the reason I'm not available on the 28th, guess where I'm going?
No way! Are you? Not good for you, but you don't have season pass. You're not a season pass holder anymore, right?
Not this year, but they have the Florida resident special. It's not a great deal, but it's not bad.
No.
So, yeah.
Good for you. So, you'll have to send me photos. Do y'all do Epcot at all? Are you going to do all the parks or?
I'm only going to be there a short time. I ended up renting points. I get to stay at a deluxe DVC resort. And so I think I'm going to do for the first time ever the Mickey's Halloween party.
Yeah, the
Sunday
Not
night.
So Scary. Mickey's Not So.
Yes,
I mean, that's what I've heard it's called.
I've never done it all these years.
I've heard that's what it's called.
That kind of thing. So I'll do what I'm an adult. I'll do what I want.
That's right. If you end up at Epcot and having some beer, send me some photos, please. Because
why do you want Epcot photos? What do you want?
I'm saying if you end up drinking beer, like if you do, I'm not expecting you to drink around the world.
I don't really drink beer. Of course, I'll be in Epcot drinking beer. What are you thinking?
Well, so
what's wrong with you?
If I had to pick the beer for you to send me a photo of, go to the German pavilion and send me a picture of Warsteiner's Dunkel. And then I'll be super jealous, but also happy for you. It might be too hot for it, to be fair. Because it gets pretty humid and hot, and you're going to be there.
It's going to be pretty hot at the end of August.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But they also have their Warsteiner Pills on tap, I believe.
I like that. I don't know. I haven't been there in like 3 years, so I'll find out.
Please do. And yeah, you're right. I love how immediately defensive you asked, why do you want photos from Epcot? What are you trying to do with them? What are you going to do with them? I
just thought maybe because, there's some special characters now, and I could just picture you really wanting a picture of me with Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, could you? Could you?
Yes, but beer, I can do beer.
Thank you. Perfect.
And I'm not going to tell you about my relationship with Jiminy. It's just not for public.
It's not public consumption. I got it. This episode is brought to you by brewersfriend.com. Brewing beer at home isn't just about ingredients, it is about precision, and that's where brewersfriend.com comes in. Whether you're dialing in your first recipe or perfecting your 100th, Brewer's Friend gives you the tools to brew with confidence. Their recipe builder, mash calculators, and water profile database helps take the guesswork out of the process so you can focus on what matters, making great beer. Brewer's Friend isn't just software, it's a community of passionate homebrewers sharing recipes, tips, and feedback. It's like having a homebrew club right in your pocket. Head over to brewersfriend.com today and take your homebrewing to the next level. Use promo code Happy Hour and get 25% off your premium membership. That's brewersfriend.com, because brewing better starts with better tools. So that is, I think, all the small talk. Again, guys, for the recipe kit for this month, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Brew Day Live, my pop and I, presumably my pop and I, someone's going to be there on the last Friday of the month, 10 a.m. Central, youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Next week's episode, I'll come more prepared, Lorena. Probably. Maybe not. Anyway, with that being said, we do have 3 incredible questions for this week's episode. Before we get to it, you and I have to pretend it is the gong of questions. Whoa! Did you hear it? You didn't hear it? Okay, you did. I didn't see your face if you reacted, because I
was waiting for it.
I have to edit it to where you react, because otherwise, if I wait to edit where I react, then people... Never mind. The gong of questions brings us to question number 1. It is an email. Our buddy Dave wrote in and he said, I've been down a lager rabbit hole recently trying to dial in a classic German Pils. Speaking of German Pils, the beer I made is visually great. It's crystal clear, pale straw, nice fluffy head. But when I take a sip, something is missing. It tastes fine, but it lacks that sharp, palate-cleansing crispness and refreshing bite that makes you immediately want to take another drink. My batch feels a little too soft, maybe even a bit flabby on the finish. That's how my wife describes my midsection. Anyways, it got me thinking about what actually creates that crisp sensation from a brewing science perspective. Is it water chemistry? Should I be bumping up my sulfates relative to chlorides to get a sharper bitterness finish? Is it mash temperature and or attenuation? Am I leaving too much residual sugar behind by mashing too high, robbing the beer of a dry finish? Or is it carbonation levels or mash pH? Thanks for all you do for the homebrewing community and keep up the great work. Cheers, Dave. I always, I treat, when people say that compliment to me, thank you for all you do for the homebrewing community, I treat it like it's stolen valor when they're telling me, because it's like, well, guys, I create a podcast every week and I have people who know what they're doing, so you should thank them. So send Lorena, we'll get a P.O. box running for you there in Michigan and Florida for thank you letters, because every time I do, I almost want to be like, I did this. They'll be like, thank you for your service. I'm like, I did it for you. Like, I do it because I'm trying to learn more too. But anyways.
Well, we all are. I think that's why we're all here. And, I could be a smart aleck because the answer to all of Dave's questions is yes.
That's right. He answered his own question.
First of all, he mentioned it being a rabbit hole. I think of a crisp German Pils. It's more of a holy grail than a rabbit hole.
I agree.
Because... yeah, it is actually so distinct. And there's some very tasty beers that just are almost there, but don't have it. So, so to start down that rabbit hole a little bit, the first thing to consider, mash pH. You're generally, with the German Pils, you're going to use soft water, but you're also going to be using gypsum, which you don't a lot of times do in like Kolsch and
Right,
things like
right,
that.
right.
And in this case, Dave mentioned the chloride sulfate ratio. Here's where I would not really talk about a ratio as much as real numbers. You don't need a ton of chloride, so maybe say, I don't know, 30 to 50 parts per million. And in the case of a German Pilsner, in order to get some of that crispness, you're going to want to add some sulfate. Ah, it's more up to your taste, but I would say like 75 parts per million. So it's not a 2-to-1 ratio or a 3-to-1, but somewhere in there. The other thing is, get your calcium a little higher than you would in other lagers. So, and don't get your sulfate from Epsom salt. You don't need the magnesium, but from the calcium,
Yeah.
I'd go like 80 to 100 in calcium in this case. You don't want mineraliness. But mash pH, I would say lower on the low side of good, like 5.3. And you hit the nail on the head too with the lower mash temperature. You could even consider a rest at 147, even to get it really to finish. Use a well attenuating healthy yeast, big starter, and I think that'll get you a long way there. Then when it's there, you brought up another point, Dave. Carbonation.
Yep.
Carbonation here is crucial because if it's undercarbed, it's going to taste a little sweet, not crisp. Overcarbonated, it's going to be way too spritzy. So try to nail that right about 2.4, 2.5. And you should get that crisp. It sounds like he's almost there,
Well,
really.
that's why you said. I mean, funny is not the right word, but it's like you said. We could have just said, "Yep, you got it. Yep."
Every one of those you got,
And move on.
it. And that's the thing, Dave. I'd love to give something really specific, and I tried, but you did describe exactly the things, and it probably a combination. Oh, the other thing that Dave didn't mention, I'd be curious on his grain bill. A lot of people like malty beers, of course, and I love the malt and the hops balance of a German Pils, but you're not going to want to use like Vienna malt or a sweet malt. You want the lightest, cleanest Pilsner malt you can get, and really that's it. There are some people that might use some carapils because you want that nice foamy head. What is your
Well,
grain bill like when you do a German Pils?
I usually do like it would be 9 pounds of pills and a pound of carapils. Is that too much carapils? Do you think is that gonna be too much mouthfeel to take away from the bite and the crispness?
Again, you got to look at all the other things in there. It's like, what else is your water like?
Yeah.
What's your mash pH? And if you love it and it tastes like a German Pils, it's not too much.
And
It's going to give you some body,
yeah.
and that might take away from the crispness. But yeah, I've used carapils. One of the things you love when you go to Germany, right? I don't know if you order Pilsners when you go to Germany, but I do. And when they pour it, and you get that mug and that big, foamy, delicious head that lasts. It's just so classic, and I do. I don't want to use the word cheat, but I will use some carapils in there too. But that's the other thing. It all combines for that Christmas. I wish I could say there was one thing he nailed every one of them.
He really did, but I am glad that you did touch on the carbonation part in regards to so. I'm probably the biggest perpetrator of this, conflating crisp and bite with just amping up carbonation. And like you said, if you go over carbonated, now it's just like spritzy is the word you used, and that's perfect because it's like now it's like a champagne sort of mouthfeel, which is not what I'm going for with the German Pils. It is, I will say, talking about Warsteiner, guys, I believe it's shipped in all 48 continental states of the USA, maybe even Hawaii and Alaska as well. We have like probably half of a listener in Hawaii. But either way, it's a real, I think, one full listener.
He's there.
One full listener. But Warsteiner Pils is probably my favorite imported German Pils of all time. And my favorite domestic, and even better than Warsteiner, I'll say it, free shout out, Real Ales, Hans Pils. Nobody holds a candle to it. I cannot believe it doesn't get gold every year. Best German Pils on the planet. I said that, Germans, come at me. But Warsteiner Pils is just beautiful. So like what I would do, Dave, is like you said, I have anything to offer him anyways. He's bringing up angles and perspectives that I didn't even think of to bring up. But here I'm going to pretend like I have something to offer Dave.
Okay.
I would get a case or get a 6-pack if you don't want to get a case of Warsteiner Pils. And with this batch, this next batch of German Pils, when you keg it, however you package it, I'm assuming you keg it because you seem like a reasonable person, Dave. You're gonna serve
all the bottlers don't write.
That's right. Serve them side by side because that's what or whatever your standard of German Pils is. Like I'm using Warsteiner just because. And, it is my, I'm very biased, obviously, about it. It's what I personally like the most of the representation of that style. But that's what I say with anyone who ever writes in or texts me or asks me questions about, hey, I'm going. I want to make like a solid West Coast, IPA or pale ale, West Coast pale. And what do you think? I'm like, I guess Sierra Nevada and brew your batch or whatever whatever your representation of that style is what you do, and then you go from there. So like with Dave, if Warsteiner Pils is kind of what you're going for, and that bites all that's missing, you can start playing around with the mash pH. That's something I've learned since having Wayne Doucette and some other people on the show talking about mash pH, myself included, Lorena. That's like one of the biggest things we don't measure. A lot of homebrewers aren't even paying attention to mash pH. My hands raised if people watch our Brew Day Lives. My pop and I aren't paying attention to it because I always use the word lazy. What's the nicer way to say lazy? I'm time efficient? No, that's not right. But I just don't we're doing RO. This last one, we didn't salt it at all. And so in the early days of getting the RO, I measured my water was at, but I still have not gotten a decent pH meter to measure our mash with, and we've just never thought about it. And I'm probably not unique. That's probably a lot of people, but
yeah, it is. It's a lot of people. And you know what? Honestly, if I'm making an imperial stout, you're in the range, right? But when you're making a beer like this, where there are no places to hide, and the tiniest adjustment makes a big difference. You have limited ingredients, right?
That's a good point.
Limited salts. So you really got to kind of work it in. I'd be really curious, Dave, if you wanted to try like 1 or 2 things at a time or try all of them and still not know what it was that hit it for you. But I would really, really love to hear Dave do this and report back, especially if he's comparing it to the favorite German Pils, because we want to know what works.
Yep.
And, I'm very interested, but obviously just from reading his question, he knows brewing. He knows what's going
brewing.
on. So you hit all of those.
Pretty soon, guys like Dave or Wayne or y'all are the Homebrew Happy Hour. I will actually work myself out of a job, and you guys will be doing it. When anyone learns how to work the gong of questions, I'm screwed.
Oh boy.
This episode is brought to you by Cellar Science. For years, homebrewers have been told they have to choose. Do you want the quality of liquid yeast or the convenience of dry? Well, Cellar Science flipped the script. They're proving that dry yeast isn't just a backup plan anymore, it's the upgrade. Cellar Science offers premium dry yeast that delivers higher cell counts than typical liquid pitches, meaning you get a stronger, healthier fermentation without the hassle. And the best part? You can direct pitch right into your wort, no starters, no waiting, just brewing. Whether you need their new West Coast strain for a classic American IPA or jungle for a massive fruity estery flavor, they've got your next batch covered. It's quality yeast that doesn't break the bank. Save time, save money, and brew better beer with Cellar Science. That's it.
Boy.
And which, by the way, and thank you, Dave, so much for submitting that question. I'm going to move on before the gone to questions. Lorena texted me Saturday, I believe it was, because you thought the brew day was Saturday because we're rational people brew on Saturdays, not on a work day. But I'm unemployed, Lorena. But anyways, my pop is just two unemployed stooping men hanging out together. High five. And
Sounds like fun.
He's retired. I said I'm retired, and he says that's not the right use of the word idiot. He didn't say idiot. But anyway, you texted me because you didn't have the volume on for our last episode that did publish out Friday or Thursday night, or no, whatever day it was, whatever
it was.
And, and the captions, I'm going to blame it. It's my speech impediment, and YouTube automated captions are ableist, and I'm going to do a disability lawsuit. I'm coming for you, whoever owns YouTube, Google, Alphabet, whatever y'all are called. I'm coming for you, because instead of the captions saying the gong of questions, what did it say?
The dong of questions.
The dong of questions, which I then Googled the dong of questions because I was like, maybe I'll trademark that.
Tell me you did not.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about my wife's pissed about my search history. It's you want to talk about rabbit holes? I having to explain to her, babe, it was a shtick for the show, I swear. She's like, I don't know. You're going to jujitsu, the dong of questions. It's all making sense. Ah! But I thought that was the funniest thing. You sent me a screenshot of like, look, the YouTube thinks you're doing the dong of questions. Made my day, and made my life harder and more difficult to explain to my wife. Anyways, Dave, thank you so much for submitting that question. Reminder, guys, you could email like Dave did, Joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. Also go to homebrewhappyhour.com and use that submit a question link at the top of the page, because again, goes to my inbox, which is the same gosh darn place. But even better, call it in to 325-305-6107. I wish I could say, as the gong of questions brings us to question number 2, that I have a voicemail this week, but I didn't. I've been getting more in this week, but I have such a database of emails. I was like, let's go through those, because like this one from our buddy Marcus is a few months old. So I want to get to some of the, I know, my bad, Marcus, my bad.
His batch is done now. We can't help him now.
No. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But we're helping people like Marcus, and we're helping future Marcus. Future Marcus will now be ready for that next batch. Our buddy Marcus did write in. He said, I've been homebrewing beer for a couple of years now, but I'm looking to pivot for my next batch and try my hand at making a hard cider for the first time. I picked up a bunch of fresh local apple juice and pitch-ready yeast, but while researching this process, the phrase back sweetening keeps popping up, and to be honest, I'm a bit confused. What is batch sweetening? Is it just throwing more sugar into the keg before I keg the batch, or is there more to it? Now, batch sweetening is not a thing for beer. I can't imagine. Maybe a pastry sour. I have no idea. I personally, and because everyone knows I live in the anecdote and my bubble is the only bubble that matters, I cannot think of a person who's brewed a batch of beer and batch sweetened it. But I know kombucha and I know cider specifically are where batch sweetening is. You are an expert, I would argue, at the process of kombuchas and ciders.
And wine. See, my thing is wine. That's how I actually started into brewing beer. I was a winemaker, and I was pretty excited. I worked with a winemaker, and I played hockey with her, and she broke my leg, so I made her teach me how to make wine. My own teammate broke my leg. That's a whole nother story.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, I was 18 months laid up, so making wine. Here's the thing with wine and cider. You get all your ingredients, you mix them together, and you're done for a couple of weeks. Then you rack it, and you're done. So, that's a little anticlimactic when you're looking to produce alcohol. So that's where I went down into. I also was a mead maker. Anyway, so the real beginning when I started making wine, the definition of back sweetening tended to be this. You make up your must, which is wort, but for wine, and you take a portion of that and stick it in your freezer. Then when your batch is done, you can put that in without diluting it with water. So if you're making a blackberry wine, for example, add your frozen must, and then that's back sweetening. However, it's now changed to just mean sweetening the batch after it's done. Using wine yeast, and Ale yeast, a lot of times with cider, it will finish completely dry. Most of my ciders are finished under 1.0, like
What?
0.996, right?
Whoa.
Because the sugars are all fermentable. It's fructose, glucose, things like that. So, and honey, of course, that's really fermentable. So they'll finish drier. Well, I like a dry cider, especially carbonated, but it's pretty shocking how much apple flavor it uses when it's totally dry. So by sweetening after the batch is done, back sweetening, you can make it as sweet or as dry as you'd like. So back sweetening is a really good idea. One of the things I've done is use SO4 on ciders. It finishes a little bit off dry, like 1.002, something like that. But the batch is done. You have to have it completely clear. Here's the reason why. There's a substance called potassium sorbate that you use, and it doesn't actually kill yeast. But what it does is it inhibits the reproduction of yeast. So if you have an active fermentation, sorbate is not going to stop it.
Okay.
You wait till it's done, it's racked and clear, no lees at all on the bottom because there's yeast in the bottom of that. So once it's completely clear and ready, the thing is, it works better in the presence of sulfites. So you're going to want to use a little Camden with that because it works better. It doesn't kill yeast either, but it works better. In addition, Camden is an antioxidant, so it's always good to consider using that when you're racking. So what you do is take your very clear cider, rack it again into a combination of sorbate and Camden. Dosage depends on the size of your batch, but say you're doing a typical 5-gallon size, you can use 5 Camden tablets, and I think it's, you have to double check this depending on your manufacturer, but like a half a teaspoon of potassium sorbate per gallon. Stir that together, put it into the carboy, rack the cider into it, wait a couple of days at least to ensure that nothing else is falling out, and then you can add whatever you want to sweeten. Maybe more apple cider, maybe apple juice, maybe honey, maybe a sugar syrup, whatever it is that you want to add. You can add that at that time, let that sit a little bit again, just to ensure fermentation hasn't kick-started, 'cause
Yeah.
sometimes it does, and then keg it or bottle it. Um, Now the key with this back sweetening and using the sorbate and the Camden, it means that you will not be able to carbonate it. Now you can if you're kegging, but bottlers can make a sweet cider,
Yeah.
off-dry cider, and a dry carbonated cider, but you really cannot easily make a carbonated sweet cider because the yeast, you can't tell the yeast when to stop unless you're going to get into pasteurizing the bottles later, which is a whole nother ball game. So there's that caveat. Don't send us a letter next month and say, "Hey, I do what you said and it won't carbonate." Yeah, I know.
In
I
your
know.
in your
But if you
opinion,
keg it, it will.
in your opinion and experience, like if you can make a broad statement for me, because I love broad statements, in 2026, do you still think the average cider maker is bottling? Because I know my,
No.
again, anecdotal, like I used to make fun of mead makers and cider makers, homebrewers, that is, because they seem to be like the last bastions of bottle conditioning is important for this,
Yeah.
where I don't see it as much anymore with cider makers at home. They've come around to the convenience of kegging. When's the last time
Right.
you've done a batch of wine, cider, or mead? Are you still paying premium prices for imported malt or settling for standard domestics to save a buck? You don't have to choose anymore. Let me tell you, friends, about Viking Malt. They are the world's largest producer of specialty malt using pristine, non-GMO Northern European barley. And because it's directly imported, you get pro-level, award-winning malt at standard domestic pricing. But here's where it gets really cool for homebrewers. Introducing their new Viking 3G Extra Pale Base Malt. It is genuinely innovative. It's a no-lots malt, meaning it's bred without the enzymes that cause beer to stale, so your kegs and bottles stay fresh way longer. Plus, it has 60% less of the stuff that causes DMS. That means cleaner beer, and you can actually shorten your boil times, saving you energy and time on your brew day. It's highly modified, extra light, and perfect for lagers or any hop-forward ale. Upgrade your next brew day with Viking 3G Extra Pale.
The last time I've got a wine to keg right now. I make more wine than beer, Billy, because I have a wino in our home. He's
Don't throw Bob under the bus like that. No. Oh, I mean, he who shall not be named.
It's too late. He heard it all. But I actually have kegs of wine sitting next to me, and I don't know how long we were kegging beer before kegging wine occurred to me.
No way. Oh, that's fantastic, though.
I
Because
know. So we were one time we had about 400 bottles of wine in the basement, and then we started kegging it, and so the whites went in the basement, and the reds are up here.
yeah.
Okay, and then when you have company, I bought a decanter so they don't like see me go, psh, because wine on tap just sounds alcoholic.
Oh, no. What does your wine finish at? 7%? What are you doing boozier?
Well, ciders, depending on how sweet our apples are, and our way of making cider has been for him to go around the neighborhood
Right.
and like steal everybody's apples.
Yeah.
And they're all tart. There's a lot of farrow apple trees around where we are. A lot of old farms. We need some fantastic cider. But yeah, so my ciders, depending on what our sugar is, 6%. Up to 8% a couple of times, and I do them dry and fizzy because I like that. And I make apple wine, which is 12 to 13%. Most of my wines are 12 to 13%. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I don't think this is too big of a digression, but I'm curious, and the thought came to my mind. You have people over, or you host, or you share. In your opinion, like what the average friend enjoys which of your alcoholic beverages best? Do they enjoy your wine the best, your beer, your cider?
My beer.
Your beer.
Because I am a dry wine fan, and many women my age like a little bit sweeter.
Sweet, right.
I hate to be misogynistic, but a lot of women tend to be more the whiter, sweeter wines. I have a friend, lovely, lovely, lovely friend. Her favorite wine is like Prosecco and Moscato.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. Lorena, you said you hate being misogynistic. That's where I come in. I love it.
Love girls like that.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. This episode's brought to you by Dragonfly Ladies 1-star review. Anyways, back to you. Back to you.
No, I like drier, crisper things. I like big, bold reds. I like even like a lighter red, like Pinot Noir. And same with my kombucha, it tends to be on the far tart side, not sweet. So when I say my friends, it's like, you know what? You get what you get if you come to my house.
No, I love it.
I brew mostly for us.
Yep.
That's why I have IPAs on tap and water. You don't like the IPA? Guess what?
You get some sparkling water, baby.
Yeah. Hey, yum, yum. And no sugar in that either. So, but yeah, I've made some really fabulous meads, crabapple mead, things like that too. I guess that's technically a mellow, but yeah, so I'm really able to back sweeten. I think dandelion wine is the only one that I make that I actually kind of consistently take off dry.
Okay.
The rest are all dry. But dandelion wine, by the way, is very good.
And here will be my kind of shout out again for the joys of kegging. She can batch sweeten it using that whole process she was talking about and still force carbonate to get to where you want it to be. And Absolutely. Everything's happy and straightforward and easy peasy. Where, like you said, when you add those things, and maybe they, put their priming sugar, but what is the priming sugar good for when the yeast is not active, right? You've done what you had to do.
And I, even when I've bottled finished wines, I have blown a few corks, It's happened.
I think people know too, obviously my laziness, or pardon me, my joy
efficiency.
My efficiency and my joy of convenience is why I love kegging, because it is the most convenient packaging method of all time. It allows me to force carbonate and enjoy the beer quicker, but the top 3 reasons, or number 2, very close second place, I'm terrified of a pressurized bottle. I just am. Even bottles from the store, I'm like I just don't. I don't know why it is. I'm a bit scaredy cat with pressurized vessels. Kegs don't bother me though for some reason. But
because it can hold 130 psi or something. I'm not afraid either.
Yeah.
The other thing is though, okay, you have people coming over for dinner. There's something so much more romantic and I don't know, ritualistic. Open a bottle of wine, decant it if it needs to be decanted. So sometimes Bob will grab an empty bottle from the basement
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
and then like
they don't know any better.
make a label.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference.
You know what I got to get you in touch with Trong. He sent it to me. What does he call it? Gosh darn it. It's the champagneur is what he calls it. It's so because my wife, you want to talk about you didn't say the color of women, but I married a white woman. But she women in general, like you said, Prosecco's and stuff. She enjoys a nice sparkling wine and a Prosecco specifically. They're gross. But she doesn't want to go through the whole bottle as much as I pressure her to because of reasons. But anyway, so Trong has
no waste. That's your reason. No waste.
No waste. So unfortunately, Trong sent me a device he calls the champagneur, and it is a cap that fits. It's a universal cap for wine bottles, and for those. And then his little mini regulator that he made. And I can just take a whatever 8-gram, 10-gram cartridge, whatever they are, and just so now that she knows that, it's terrible, Tron. I mean, it's a wonderful invention, but she'll just have a glass and then put that on it.
She's done.
And puts it back in because it won't go flat. And I don't even think he sells it on the site. Even if he did, I don't get paid to say it. But that man, he is an innovator. I think he was tired of his wife wasting sparkling wine. So he was
at least you finished that sentence. You started this.
He was tired of his wife. Anyway, take my wife, please. I know I don't do a good Rodney. I tried to. I loved Rodney Dangerfield. Cannot impersonate him. But anyway, the resolution though, like I said, for the bottle that she buys of Prosecco, because now that in hindsight and talking all this, I should make her a thing of Prosecco. That would probably be.
Why not?
Why wouldn't I? I'm gonna have to after this get a recipe from you, or because you're not doing kits, right? You're doing.
I do kits too because I used to buy buckets of grapes and everything, and where we live in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. And I don't really travel that much anymore. So it's hard to get grapes at a certain time of year. So I have been doing some kits as well as picking the fruit in our yard. So like right now what I don't have a kit on tap, but I have Bob's 2025 blend, which is all the fruit in our yard.
Yeah.
Blackberry, black currants.
Black elderberries.
Elderberry.
Grapes.
That's fantastic. What a variety. That's awesome.
Yeah, and what he does, he tells me roughly the percentages so I know how many pounds. Black chokeberry. Yeah, black chokeberry is a lot of them. So anyway, and then I think there's a blackberry and a peach over here. So I do those, and I do kits. And there's some actually excellent kits. And I haven't made cider recently, but again, it's August, so maybe some cider will be coming up pretty soon.
Maybe. Do you have, before we wrap up the question, like what comes to my mind when I think of kits for wine are those LD Carlsons that have been around for forever. But do you have a brand or a kit that you would recommend someone, and I could maybe link?
Yeah, we've used a lot of different ones, and one of the ones I loved that I never heard of, he just mentioned it. I had ordered some from Label Peelers. They're called Finer kits, Finer, and they come refrigerated. So they're actually, because you don't want them to ferment on the way.
Yeah.
They come cold, and there's no preservatives or things in them. And I've noticed they're pretty good, and there's always a sale. But they're more expensive. And with wine kits, one of the things to be aware of is you really do get what you pay for. You can buy a kit for $60, and it's got more condensed wine juice, grape juice, and you use more water, and you're going to get like a $2 chuck. It's still cheaper than buying Aldi wine.
Now you're speaking my language.
Drinkable.
Now you're speaking my language. $2 chuck.
It's drinkable with dinner and things. But you can buy. One time we bought a really expensive kit years ago, but it was on sale. Austin Homebrew, I guess, ordered too many of them. And it was a Tanat, and I think I aged it. I think we finished the last one after about 12 years. It was a fabulous kit. It was like a $40 bottle of wine when it was finished. So, and kits are easy. So if somebody is to take this even further, a little bit off tangent, but if you really want to get into winemaking and you're a brewer or a cider maker, you have everything you need.
Yeah.
And the kits really can give you really good quality, or you can get a cheaper kit and carbonate it and have spritzers at the pool. There's room in there for everybody, from pros to people like me.
And as we wrap it up, this question I want to also mention too, because I know, like you're saying, it is less involved to make a mead and a wine and a cider.
Mhm.
But I will say, I'm finding with my buddy Charlie, who runs Golden Hive Mead, and I always joke that my 10,000 plus whatever audiences, they give him a bump. He has over 1.5 million people who follow and watch his stuff. But where I'm going with this is, I think him being a mead maker and showing how straightforward it is has actually helped his popularity, because not everybody wants to be involved. Not everybody wants to mill grains and do a mash and do a sparge. And I think it's fun. That's my favorite part. Brew day is my favorite part of craft beer. Like of home brewing. Like fermentation is where I'm most nervous, but like on brew day, the hot side especially, it's fun.
Fun.
It's just fun. We're just BSing in the garage, like it's a ton of fun. But
I talk to myself on brew days, but yeah.
but the straightforwardness of cider, it's less sexy or whatever, but it's still going to make a good beverage that you can enjoy at home, and you still did it yourself like that. Like I hate, it's not really gatekeeping, but if people, like if a process isn't miserable, sometimes people are like, that's not really, that's not that impressive.
Yeah, like extract beer.
Yeah.
That's not brewing.
Oh, that's the,
you know what? Yes, it is.
Yes, and there are some really good extract kits out there, or people who make their own recipes based around LME or DME or whatever, and they're making great beer. But anyways, that's a whole different tangent. Marcus,
sorry about that, Marcus, but I hope we did answer your question. Well, and I saw that, Marcus, you did say he is kegging. So one of the things I had told someone else before is, okay, if you are kegging your cider right now and you're going to carb it up and drink it kind of quick, you can even skip the sorbate. It's not going to ferment at 33 degrees.
Good point. You're right.
I mean, it might, but if you're going to age it a long time and things, but if you are really going to just back sweeten and throw in the keg like you mentioned, fine. Just keep it cold, especially if you can dilute the sugar or honey, whatever, using a little bit of warm water, add it to cold cider, and then stick it back in the kegerator and carb it up. You'll be fine. Yeah, you can skip the sorbate. I meant to mention that earlier.
No, good. You covered your bases. I appreciate it. And you covered the actual bases, and then I took us to a whole different baseball field playing a whole different game. We were playing, I took us to banana ball. We were playing MLB, and then I took us to banana ball. I just totally changed
Better than Little League, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, marginally. But anyways, Marcus, thank you so much for submitting that question. Guys, even if you don't have a question, if you're watching at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, you could leave your comments below if you're like, no, guys, y'all are idiots. This is what I think. Perfect. It helps me out with the algorithm. You can say whatever mean stuff you want about Lorena. She doesn't care. I'm not going to speak for you. I am calloused. I grew up under Scott Stubing. I am calloused to mean words. And I worked for Todd Burns for 18 years. You can't say anything to me that can hurt me, that I'll let you know hurt me. Sometimes I'm in the fetal position crying. Anyways, that's a whole different episode, a whole different thing. But you could also call it in to 325-305-6107. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Or email, like our third and final question, the gong of questions. There it is. From our buddy Sam. He wrote an email and he said, I'm starting to accumulate a few special high ABV beers that I'd love to hold on to for a rainy day, or maybe even open on a specific milestone a couple of years down the road. Up until now, I've mostly drank my homebrews fresh, so the idea of deliberately aging beer for a year or longer feels like a whole new frontier. Which styles actually benefit from age? I know imperial stouts and barley wines are classic contenders, but do hoppy beers, sours, or lower ABV styles ever make sense to hold on to? What are the ideal storage conditions? Does temperature consistency matter more than absolute cold? And then what is the sweet spot for cellar temps? Do beers age differently in bottle conditioned bombers versus sitting under pressure in a keg? Are there golden rules every homebrewer should know before attempting long-term beer aging? Thanks for keeping the show awesome, Sam. Let me give my one,
absolutely.
one input to this that I think, and only because Matt Meadows made a point to say this too when I was interviewing him. So this isn't even an original thought, but I know now hoppy beers you do not age. As in like those like that Pliny the Elder. You want to enjoy. You want to get what is intended from it as the freshest possible that you can. You don't want it sitting around for a while. It mellows out, and that's not. It's going to be good. It's going to be mellow. It's not what the brewer intended. But Lorena, besides that, I have nothing to offer Sam. Believe it or not, my father and I only accidentally age beer because we drink too slow. We stopped doing 10-gallon batches. We're in our G40. We're now down to 5-gallon batches. And that actually is our sweet spot because it's like between how little we drink together on a Sunday and then special events that they host at the house, we're starting to give growlers out. So it's a good compromise. If we had 10 gallons every batch, I'd be drowning in beer, which some people watching the show are like, dude, what's the problem with that? But we just don't drink fast enough. So we are incidentally aging. And the only style I've purposely aged is our big breakfast stout. And it seems to like 9 months to 1 year after kegging it is like my favorites from some of our older batches where it's like, man, that really, like, the coffee is just dialed in. Everything's just right where I want it to be. But it was a good batch even when we first kegged it. But like,
right, but you're kicking yourself for drinking so much of it early when it's so much better later.
Exactly. Right. But so besides, like, again, what little I have to offer this question, what do you think about long-term aging as a home brewer?
Well, I happen to have a cellar, and it's about the right temperature all year round. And that is one of the questions that Sam had too. It's the way beer ages. First of all, oxidation makes a play. So careful packaging, saying that you did everything in your power to prevent oxidation before you packaged it. Beer will age faster the higher the temperature.
Yeah.
Now, keeping it cold will slow down aging. But the reason people cellar is sometimes you want a little bit of aging for things to meld. So my cellar is about 55 degrees. It's nice for aging that big red tannat I was telling you about. The little bit of micro oxidation over time. However, the only beers that I have actually aged and been glad for it, I had a Belgian triple that I kegged. It took me forever to get through that. So finally, like the last couple of gallons, I bottled, stuck in the cellar. It was nice for a long time until the last bottle was gone.
Yeah.
Long time, probably 2 years, not forever, but at cellar temperatures. The other one that was really good, I did an oaked arrogant bastard clone. You know, the rogue beer that will not exist anymore. And it took a while for the oak to mellow and for the flavors to melt. But we're talking high ABV beers, almost wine type ABV beers. I would never try on purpose to age a German Pilsner ever again. I did it because we couldn't finish the keg before we were going away for the winter. We came back and it was still pretty good. It was a well-made German Pilsner. It was like 5.5% or something, but it was still very good. But I wouldn't intend to do that again, even keeping it cool. So if you have this fabulous hoppy beer and you go out, wow, my dad's coming for Christmas, I want to save this. Don't.
Yep.
It won't be the same beer.
Yeah.
And you open it and you'll go, it's good.
But it's
not.
Yep.
It really does matter, the style, at the packaging too. Bottling, you have a lot more chances for oxidation. So if you bottle carefully, some people do use a little sulfite in beers that they're intending for an antioxidant if they're intending to age them long term. And that's something. Some people will use ascorbic acid and things too, which is oxygen scavenger. If you really want to go down that rabbit hole, you can look up ways. There's a lot of instruction on doing that. But yeah, I and also, Sam asked about sours. I don't really have a thought on aging sours because I'm not one that just really cares for them.
Same.
Do you
No.
have some?
How dare you? How dare you think? Do you know me? No, sours could be possibly the worst thing I could ever think of to want to hold on to. Like sours, that's the style. Or I've told the story before, I believe, on the show. With HomebrewCon Portland, when we got there like a day or so early because I had to set up the booth and all that. A listener of the show, Andrew or Arnold, I think it was Andrew was his name. Sorry, dude, if you still listen to the show. That was a long time ago. I can't remember everyone's name. But he, super nice guy, took us to this place. I believe it was called Great Notion or something. It was like known for sours.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah. My memory, I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember the awful bar. No, it wasn't awful, pardon me. The blueberry sour he gave us. And here's how I know James, and this is a good trait to have. He's a nice guy, but a little bit of a pushover in regards to not wanting to hurt people's feelings, because they give us this beer, and I could see James, he did everything short of plugging his nose, but he drinks it, and he was like, oh, wow, that's actually really good. And I was like, you liar. I can never trust you again for the rest of my life. If you're willing to lie to this person, what have you lied to me about? Like, it was terrible. I was trying to find good words. And I think I said, like, let me be diplomatic here to the guy. I'm saying this out loud, not in my head, because I don't filter. I just say it's a disease. It's not a feature. It's a flaw. But I was like, well, it has blueberries. I like blueberries, but sour is not my thing. And
I've had a couple, and I do know one that was aged. This guy named Don, I think he works for Old Stovetop Brewing now. He made something called the Grapes of Wrath. But so it was a wine-based beer sour. It had wine in it too, and it was an excellent sour. And I still did not enjoy it as much as my friends who drank a lot more. But and that one was aged, but I think it was because it was so high ABV as well that it did age well. I think most of the sours, like a Berliner Weiss, that's like 3%, 4%. It's not going to age well.
No.
So I guess, I guess we need more of a sours expert, but I would say with a sour, unless you're doing a real high ABV and it needs more time to kind of mellow and maybe for it to melt, you can try aging that a little bit, but I would not do it even with the lower ABV sour at all.
I guess I need to Google this, but you tell me as I Google it, what is considered cellar temp? Is that like 60? What is cellar temp?
I think it's like 55. That's what mine is. And I think I read that somewhere, because I think like my breads really should be served around 60. So good cellar. And when I did age the Arrogant Bastard and some of those, I did it at 55. But you can Google it and come up. I just seem to remember 55.
Yeah, 55, 60. Yeah. Look at that. I am envious of people who you have that year round.
Pretty much. We have a very old creepy house with a very old creepy basement, and the pantry is not heated or cooled.
My house has a middle-aged creepy guy in it, but besides that, nothing else is creepy. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
In Texas, just the thought of a cellar is just.
I know. I know.
Like,
it blows people away too, because like, well, where's all your brewing stuff? Oh, it's in the basement, and how many cakes you got down there? I don't know, a couple dozen.
Yeah.
How many carboys you got down there? I don't know, a couple dozen.
Yeah, a couple dozen.
It's like, where? In your crawl space? No.
It
is. I am very lucky to have this basement because it has a lot of stuff down there.
Yeah, and this is another question too that should ideally get some comments, because it is, it's not subjective, but it does require context that you and I might not be able to provide. Specifically, we're talking about the sour. Like someone might say, "Oh no, no, it actually is okay to age, and here's why," or elaborate on why you wouldn't age it. And then, like you said,
and
too.
like,
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say about humidity.
Yes,
is humidity a factor? Probably is, but I got what I got, which is a humid basement. If it's dry, you don't want your corks to dry out, or especially if you bottle them with the cages, like for Belgian beers. But I would love to hear more on that, Josh.
Yeah, and like you said too, I actually have in my teaser here a 8-month-old now German Pils, and I poured from it not that long ago, and I was pleasantly surprised. But like you said, there was no reason for me to. I'm not aging on purpose. We haven't had room for it on his taps, and so I was like, oh man, I need to make sure it didn't turn. Not that there's a reason it should turn in a sanitized keg at 34 is what or 35 is what my teaser's at, but it shouldn't have turned, and it tasted great, and it just reminded me like, man, we should have had that on tap a long time ago. There's no benefit for this to be 8 months old. There's just not. Now, with that being said, with some like a Kolsch, if I get it kegged and I can cold condition it for 6 to 8 weeks, that's my sweet spot. That's not aging. I wouldn't call that aging at all.
It's conditioning. Lagering.
Yes, lagering, where we're not trying to conflate the two, guys. When Sam's talking about aging, he means years. He doesn't mean weeks. He means like 2+ years.
And I'm going to make a mead and serve it on my baby's 21st birthday, kind of aging.
Yeah,
right.
Which in Charlie's book, how long did he do his mead for? Many years? Like, I mean, talking about aging it, it was like, I don't want to make up a number. Someone has to put in the comments. It was like 5 years, maybe, or 2.
It was a long time. I can't remember.
I don't know either, but I know when Todd did a cactus mead with the tuna.
Stop with that. What? I didn't get any.
What? I thought you were supposed to get a bottle.
I made it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't get it. That's funny. It's not funny for you.
Something happened at the end. Either he spilled it or something.
No, dude, he drank it all. What are you talking about?
Well, he did say he saved some for me. Yeah, I was at the ranch and he's like, hey, while you're here, I have this honey that I've had from Homebrew Supply, and I have prickly pear tunas. They're cleaned and everything in the freezer. Will you show me how to make meat?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure. And I had high hopes for it. But I think he still had it a couple of years.
He did. He aged it. I want to say he aged that one a full year, didn't he? Before he put it on tap?
And he had it though, he put it in a room with temperature control.
Yes.
He kept the AC on in that room.
Yes.
For a long time, like a year.
It was a year. I'm pretty.
And then he kegged it and aged it a bit longer.
Yeah, it was very smooth. So
I think we did 13% on that.
I believe you. I was already dancing and stuff after just one. I was like,
oh, you should have had half of one. Then.
I should have had half of one. It went really good.
Want to see that.
I forget the cigar I was smoking that night, but I was like, wow, this really does complement this well. But to be fair, I say that about any beer and any drink with my cigars. I'm like, wow, that pairs really well.
Especially when it's free.
Of course when it's free. When people
free beer is the best beer.
They had at HomebrewCon something about pairing, and I was gonna go to it, but I didn't because I'm lazy. And but I was just like thinking in my head, I'm so like uncultured. Everything pairs with everything. Like I'm like, oh, that Kolsch would go really well. Yeah, it goes well with everything, guys. It goes well with everything. It goes well in the hot, goes well in the cold, goes well with fish, goes well with Mexican food, goes well with burgers. I don't care. If you get some, like, but no, all kidding aside, there is value to people who know how to pair, because you do get a light bulb moment sometimes where like, oh my God, eating these fish tacos with that West Coast pale is perfect. And you want to do it every time. So yeah, no, not to talk bad about people who know what they're talking, just because I've burned my palate. But anyways, wrapping up Sam's question. This is one where, like I said, very style dependent. There are certain styles, like specifically these IPAs. Guys, you want to enjoy those fresh. You don't want those sitting on the shelf for forever. And then you're going to be happy when you tap into that IPA a year later. But it's not going to be the same at all. It's going to be a whole different thing. So I'm just saying it's not going to go bad. That beer's not going to be bad. It's just not going to be what you intended. Why do all that time dry hop in and whatever just to let it sit? But if you are watching at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour and have something to say, I don't even care what it is. Hey, Josh, you're bald. Oh, dumb t-shirt. No backwards hat. I thought nothing was cooler than a middle-aged man in a backwards hat. Whatever you want to say, leave it in the comments below. Or I know now on Spotify you can leave comments because I get notifications, Lorena, that people leave comments, but it doesn't show you the comments in the email. I have to log into Spotify, and every time I'm like, oh, please don't be bad, please. And they're never bad. They're always good. They're always constructive.
That's me. I'm giving you really good reviews every day.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
Yeah, you're the one.
No, I can't see the comments on Spotify, so that's good to know.
Yeah. Well, if you use Spotify,
I do.
Oh, no, some of these episodes, not every episode has comments, but some of them it'll be, and most of the time they are constructive, not always critical sometimes, but I deserve that. I deserve worse. Anyways, everybody who submitted a question, thank you so much. A final reminder, call it in if you want to 325-305-6107. The handful of y'all that have left voicemails over the last few weeks to me, I'm going to start playing those starting probably next week, Lorena. Let's do that next week. How about for the next for the rest of August, every episode will have a voicemail. How about I
love it.
I make that pledge, except for the interview that I end up doing with Bells, because that'd be weird. Or I guess I could leave a voicemail and then play it for him. I don't know. Never mind. I'm overthinking things, but I'm looking forward. I'm going to get you out the Bells kit, right? That's what you'd rather have?
Yes, I'm so excited. Bell's Too Hard is one of my favorite beers.
It's going to be a good one. And as always, my friend, I appreciate your time and doing the show with me, and I'll see you next week.
Absolutely.
Adios.